I mean, is it an act? Does she really think that she's in touch with Diana beyond the grave? It's absolutely astonishing. In absolute seriousness, he really does believe that Meghan is talking to Diana, his mother.
Wherever she is, whether it's at Costner or in Colombia or in Nigeria or wherever, she's always, her publicist will reveal that she's wearing one of Diana's jewels.
She had gone over there on a charity trip to help bring or build clean water resources for this area. I believe it was in Rwanda. And so this picture is out of place because she was meant to be working while there to make this happen. And she brought along extra suitcases of wardrobe and her own personal photographer.
Is it all just an act, or does she genuinely believe she's communicating with Diana from beyond the grave? The whole situation is nothing short of mind-blowing. Believe it or not, there are people who wholeheartedly accept that Meghan Markle is truly in touch with the spirit of Princess Diana, her late mother-in-law. This isn't some casual rumor, it's a concept that's taken root deeply in certain circles, and it's honestly astonishing how seriously some take it. The fascination with Diana didn't stop at heartfelt conversations or faint illusions. It grew into something far more intricate. The rumors suggest that Meghan didn't just stop at claiming contact with Diana's spirit, she took it to an entirely new level, delving into the very essence of Diana's style and demeanor. According to fans and insiders alike, Meghan began mirroring Diana in more than just words. Observers have noticed her intentionally adopting Diana's familiar, signature glance, this subtle downward look during conversations that Diana was famously known for. Alongside this, Meghan has been seen replicating several of Diana's distinctive facial expressions. The quiet...
In Meghan's mind, she is Diana.
Yes.
I mean, Diana Spencer is Meghan Spencer. And that was all part of her imagination that somehow she could inherit the glow of her dead mother-in-law.
Soft gestures that Diana used so naturally, and many would argue, so lovingly. It's as if Meghan was quietly channeling Diana's presence not just in spirit, but through mannerisms, weaving her late mother-in-law's legacy into her daily interactions. Meghan, naturally confident and poised on her own, starts to shadow these nuanced behaviors, which has sparked endless chatter. Was this a tribute, a strategic move, or something more deeply emotional, a way to keep Diana close in both heart and gesture? The layers here are thick, and the storyline only gets more captivating as we dig deeper. Her transformation went beyond just her words and tone. Those who knew her well remarked how she used to be lively, outspoken, the kind of person who wasn't afraid to laugh heartily or share her thoughts boldly. But over time, that vibrant energy seemed to wane. Instead, she started covering her mouth whenever she laughed or spoke, as if trying to hold back that natural, exuberant side of herself. She spoke in a gentler, more restrained way, a softer voice that didn't quite feel like the person she once was.
And according to reports, and from them themselves, Meghan was wearing Princess Diana's favorite perfume for her dates with Harry in the beginning. So Meghan already, upon meeting Harry, has planted images and scents to remind him of his mother. Even in a subconscious way, like kind of sneakily, which is weird.
For some close observers, this change was unsettling, almost as if they were witnessing someone else entirely. The once spontaneous, candid woman was now carefully curating every gesture and word. This wasn't a random shift. It coincided with a growing pressure to live up to a particular image, one that critics and the public relentlessly compared her to, Princess Diana. The parallels between them had become so deeply entrenched in the public's mind that reversing course felt impossible. It was as if a new identity had been forged around her, one sewn together from fragments of Diana's behavior and presence. Once she had absorbed Diana's way of speaking and the subtle mannerisms that made her so beloved, the transformation didn't stop there. The next step was even more visible: her wardrobe. She began to look at Diana's iconic fashion choices as a blueprint for her own style. This wasn't just about clothes, it was about embodying the elegance and poise that Princess Diana exemplified.
This is the stuff that psychologists train for. And it is a way, I think, for Meghan to get people to talk about her. It is a way for Meghan, I believe, to manipulate Harry in a really twisted sort of way. But I also think there has got to be something mentally not right there. I believe this is completely pathological.
Every outfit was carefully chosen to echo Diana's signature looks, blending sophistication with warmth and projecting the kind of grace the world had come to admire. This evolution was complete. She was stepping into a role shaped by another woman's legacy, navigating a path where her own identity blurred with the image of a princess the world could never forget. The parallels between Meghan and Diana grew more than just noticeable. They became almost uncanny in their frequency and precision. It wasn't just about wearing similar outfits. Meghan seemed to deliberately choose dresses and ensembles that echoed Diana's iconic style, especially at high-profile events like the gala. Imagine the scene. Meghan steps out in a sleek, elegant gown that mirrors the very dress Diana once wore, right down to the cut and details. But it wasn't just about the clothes.
Online thought that she was attempting to cosplay as her late mother-in-law yet again. She's been hit with with accusations like this before, but here's the image in question. Now, it is weird seeing them side by side. It is weird seeing them side by side because I would argue, oh no, that's an accident. But then when I actually see the one piece, the leg formation, the arms out, it's like she planned for it.
The way Meghan posed in front of the cameras, the tilt of her head, the soft, graceful smile, the positioning of her hands, it all echoed Diana's famously poised and captivating stances, almost as if she were channeling the late princess herself. What intensified this resemblance even further was how the photographers framed these shots. The settings, lighting, and backdrops looked deliberately chosen to mimic the iconic images of Diana, creating a visual bridge between the two women. Every photo seemed to tell a story of reflection, almost as if Meghan were stepping into Diana's shoes, recreating moments that had once captured the world's attention. Then, one especially striking example surfaced in the recent birthday photos Meghan shared. There she was, joyfully jumping into a swimming pool, an image that instantly reminded many of Diana, who had done something very similar and charmingly carefree in her own birthday celebrations. This wasn't a coincidence or simple admiration. It painted a picture of Meghan's deep fascination.
I do think that the Australian trip turned their head in a crazy way, although she behaved appallingly during the trip. Yeah. But in Harry's view, this was his mother all over again. What Meghan never really understood, probably not even now, is that when she was cheered as a working royal, it wasn't because she was Meghan Markle, it was because she represented British royalty and all the values of the Queen and all the tradition and 1,000 years of history. So people were cheering not just the person, but also the institution.
So Harry himself has been guilty of this, trying to compare her to Diana. The same thing's going to happen to her if the press keeps writing negative things.
Even obsession with Diana's life and persona. Over time, it seemed Meghan's desire to closely mirror Diana wasn't just about paying tribute. It was as if she began to lose touch with her own identity, becoming so absorbed in this effort to mimic Diana that the boundaries between them blurred. The more she focused on becoming a modern reflection of Diana, the more she risked forgetting the uniqueness and individuality that made her who she truly was, Diana. At first, spotting a single outfit similar to hers might have seemed like a simple coincidence, just a fleeting resemblance, a momentary echo of her style. But then the pattern began to emerge over and over again, almost as if it was more than luck or chance. It felt like a deep connection, a thread weaving through time from Diana to Meghan. What had started as a subtle nod transformed into something far more meaningful.
The thing is, this week I heard this extraordinary story, which I'm sure is true because it came from Harry's lips, that Harry told a friend of his when he was in London recently that Meghan is in touch with Diana. And that Diana is assuring...
Princess Diana,
the mother. And that Meghan is assuring Harry that his mother is absolutely sure that what they're doing is right. and she supports them absolutely in everything they're doing.
It was as if Diana's presence wasn't just a memory but a guiding force, quietly influencing the path Meghan was walking. Then came the monumental Australian tour in 2018, which took place right after their wedding, a fresh chapter in their lives. From the moment they touched down on Australian soil, the atmosphere was electric. The entire nation was eager and excited to welcome them, showing genuine warmth toward the couple, who was still very much embraced as part of the royal family. The tour wasn't just a routine series of engagements, it was a cultural moment, a chance for Harry and Meghan to connect deeply with people halfway across the world. But here's where it gets fascinating. According to Bauer, Harry and Meghan felt the sparkling success of this tour was not just because of their charm, charisma, or even royal duties. It was something intangible, something magical. They believed it was Diana's spirit and blessing that had enveloped their journey, almost like an invisible aura of goodwill and love flowing through every handshake, smile, and speech. For them,
Tailed a trip back to Diana's resting place, where Meghan was putting her hands on the gravestone and communicating with Diana's spirit and asking for guidance, and even laid on the grave at one point, which feels kind of inappropriate and a little extreme, just maybe taking it a little too far. You know, it's not her mother.
it felt like Diana was right there beside them, watching over and guiding the way, ensuring this chapter of their story was written with the same grace and warmth that she had once inspired. It was as though the magic of Diana's legacy was alive and thriving, shining its light on their path in Australia. Despite Meghan's relentless efforts to step into Diana's shoes, no matter what she does, there's a boundary she simply cannot cross. The unique, almost magical public influence that Diana held cannot be passed down or claimed by anyone else. Diana's legacy wasn't something she inherited overnight, nor was it something that could be replicated by just showing up with intention. Decades of public life, heartfelt charity work, and a deeply personal connection with people around the world shaped who Diana was in the public eye. That kind of legacy is delicate, built slowly over time through real actions and genuine emotions, and it's something Meghan wasn't a part of from the beginning. What's more, Meghan's strategy seemed to involve more than just immediate actions. There's been talk that Meghan tried to influence, some might say manipulate Harry, to see her not just as his wife, but in some ways as an extension of Diana herself. She worked hard to embed herself in his mind as a continuation of that royal story, hoping Harry would view her through the same lens he once reserved for his mother. It's as if Meghan wanted to rewrite the narrative, so Harry believed that she was the new Diana, or at least the figure who could carry forward that emotional weight and public spotlight. This attempt, however, has led to deep complications. Harry, caught in the middle, has begun to grapple with this new reality, a reality where history feels blurred and his own identity becomes a bit tangled in the narratives around him. He's started to fear what the past might mean for his future, unsure whether to follow in the footsteps of his mother's legacy or forge an entirely new path with Meghan beside him. It's a tense emotional dance, with Meghan trying to hold on to a sort of symbolic throne that was never really hers to claim, and Harry feeling the heavy weight of legacy, love, and expectation pressing down on his shoulders. There's a persistent echo in Harry's mind, a fear that history might repeat itself. Deep down, he worries Meghan could face the same harsh scrutiny and emotional turmoil that Diana endured. This concern isn't something he's voiced just once or twice. It's woven into nearly every interview and public statement he's made since his life started to shift dramatically. It's almost as if his entire worldview has been filtered through the lens of Diana's experiences, the love, the struggles, and the heartbreaking loss. Harry sees Meghan not just as his partner, but through the shadows of his mother's legacy. Her unwavering admiration for Diana only deepens this connection, reinforcing Harry's belief that Meghan embodies a continuation of his mother's spirit and journey. It's a powerful and emotional perspective shaped by history, memory, and the intense bond between mother and son, a bond that Harry hopes to protect and honor through Meghan. Then, when we turn to Harry's memoir, Spare, these echoes become even more vivid. The book is sprinkled with poignant references to Diana, revealing just how much her presence still influences him. Each mention serves as a reminder of the impact she made, not only on the world but on Harry's very understanding of love, loss, and identity. Through Meghan, who has openly expressed her admiration and respect for Diana, Harry finds himself reconnecting with his mother's legacy in a deeply personal way. This connection, intense and layered, colors how he views Meghan and frames their shared narrative, a blend of past wounds and hopes for the future. Despite the passage of time and the many changes that have unfolded, certain subtle presences seem to linger, almost like whispers from another realm. Harry himself has shared a curious and deeply personal experience that adds an intriguing layer to this ongoing story. According to him, he once met a woman who described herself as a conduit between our world and the spirit world, a medium who could communicate with those who have passed on. During this encounter, Harry felt something profound and unmistakable, the comforting presence of his mother. It wasn't just a vague intuition. It was, as he described it, a genuine connection that gave him strength and reassurance. He came away from that meeting with the sense that Diana was still watching over him, quietly guiding and supporting him in every step he took. This belief that his mother's spirit is actively helping him along his journey added a deeply heartfelt and almost mystical dimension to his story. But the captivating tales didn't stop there. They took a surprising and much more intense turn when Meghan's well-known passion for yoga and meditation came under scrutiny. This aspect of her life has always been clear and openly embraced by her. There's no question that she values mindfulness and spiritual balance. However, whispers started swirling from sources said to be close to the family, though their names were never revealed. These rumors hinted at something more complex, painting a picture of Meghan's spiritual practices that veered beyond typical meditation sessions and yoga classes. The speculation suggested that her interest wasn't just about relaxation or health, but might involve a deeper, more esoteric connection, something that potentially tied back to that unseen spiritual world Harry had spoken of. Such claims sent shockwaves through those who had followed their story, sparking a flurry of conversations and debates about the role of spirituality in their lives and whether that connection to the past could indeed be influencing their present in unexpected ways. During one of her deeply introspective sessions, she confided in Harry that she felt an unmistakable spiritual connection to Diana, as if their souls were somehow linked beyond the confines of this world. This revelation marked a sharp turning point. What started as a simple fascination quickly spiraled into a full-blown obsession with Diana's enigmatic presence. The intensity of this fascination was unlike anything Harry had ever witnessed, and it led her down an unexpected and eerie path. She began attempting to communicate with spirits she claimed were unknown, ethereal entities beyond earthly understanding. Her conviction grew stronger with each encounter, or so she said, and it wasn't long before she declared she could reach out and actually converse with Diana's spirit. But the eerie part was that these communications weren't happening in the safety of her private sessions alone. No, she felt compelled to take it a step further, making her connection physical and undeniable. With a deep and almost reverential determination, she visited Diana's final resting place, an act that sent shivers through anyone who heard about it. There, standing before the gravestone that bears Diana's name, she gently rested her hands against the cold marble, hoping to bridge worlds. What followed was even more surreal. With fingers trembling slightly over the engraved letters, she began voicing her requests aloud. The very first was simple yet profound. She asked Diana for guidance, a plea sent out into the quiet, sacred space of the graveyard. Her voice was steady but held an undertone of urgency, as if she believed the spirit she was addressing could offer wisdom that no living person could. The weight of that moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation, as if the boundary between the living and the departed was thinner than ever, ready to be crossed. Amid all these intense actions, Meghan took a step that added a deeply personal, almost ritualistic element to her connection with Diana's memory. She reportedly placed her hands directly on Diana's grave. This wasn't just a simple gesture of respect or a quiet moment of remembrance. No, for Meghan, it was a powerful, almost desperate attempt to reach out and physically connect with the legacy she felt so drawn to. But even that intimate act wasn't enough to satisfy her growing obsession. She pushed the boundaries even further, diving deeper into this emotional and symbolic journey. Determined to anchor this connection firmly in place, Meghan and Harry made a bold decision that took them far from their usual surroundings. In 2024, the couple traveled all the way to Nigeria. On the surface, this trip was for the Invictus Games, a global sporting event that Harry was deeply involved in, advocating for wounded veterans and their resilience. But underneath that official reason, the trip held a more personal, almost spiritual purpose. Nigeria held a special significance because Princess Diana herself had traveled there during her lifetime. For Meghan, this wasn't just a coincidence or a simple homage, it became a kind of pilgrimage. Every place that Diana had once set foot on, every patch of ground that had felt the touch of her presence, became a sacred site that Meghan felt compelled to experience herself. It was as if she believed that by stepping onto the same soil, walking the same paths, she could somehow absorb a piece of Diana's spirit or keep her memory alive in a way that felt tangible and immediate. Diana's previous connection to Nigeria wasn't just a brief visit, it was part of her broader humanitarian work and her deep commitment to connecting with people around the world. For Meghan, following in those footsteps wasn't just a symbolic journey, it was a powerful statement about legacy, identity, and the lengths to which people will go to feel close to those they admire or wish to emulate. This trip, framed as part of a public event, carried layers of personal meaning, intertwining history, memory, and an almost magnetic pull toward a past that still holds sway over the present. Nigeria might have played a significant role in sparking the connection many made between the Sussexes' recent visit and Meghan herself. There's no denying that Meghan's fascination with Princess Diana runs incredibly deep. Some would say it borders on an obsession that few truly understand. Over time, this intense admiration has led many people to wonder if Meghan has begun to lose sight of her own identity. It feels as though she's slowly shedding the person she once was and striving to embody Diana in every possible way. But this relentless pursuit has not come without consequences. Each time Meghan channels Diana's spirit or image, she risks distancing herself from reality and, in doing so, chips away at her own authenticity and credibility. The question many are left asking is whether this passionate fixation on Diana is genuinely helping Meghan find her place, or if it's leading her down a path where she might be fooling herself. Is this blend of admiration and identification empowering her, or could it be blurring the lines between who she is and who she wants to be? Meghan's journey is complex and layered, filled with challenges she must navigate carefully if she hopes to maintain her own voice amidst the powerful shadow Diana's legacy casts. At the end of the day, only Meghan truly knows what her heart is seeking. We're really curious to hear what you think about all of this. Do you believe Meghan's connection to Diana is a positive influence, or do you feel it might be holding her back in some way? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. We love engaging with you and hearing your perspectives. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, share it with friends who might find it interesting, and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth stories and discussions just like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.